What if you could walk into a theater, not just to watch a play, but to control it? I mean, really control it. Naming the heroes, choosing their path, and deciding if they save the day or crash and burn spectacularly. It's not a fantasy, so to speak. It's a show called Dungeons & Dragons: The 20-Sided Tavern. It's the absolutely wild story of a show that started in a basement with a folding table and a box of props and somehow leveled up into the first ever officially licensed D&D theatrical event. To get the real story, I sat down with the show's creative and performance director, Michael Fell. I wanted to understand his core philosophy, which all boils down to breaking theater's oldest rule.
In using the strengths of the medium you choose to work in. If you're a ceramicist, if you work in ceramics, there are certain things you can do that are inherently unique to your art form versus working in metal versus working with organic objects, and in much that same way, theater offers such a unique ability to be in the same room as the people receiving it. I see a lot of theater that to me feels very filmic, and there's not anything inherently wrong with that. I just think, for especially like if you're interested in telling kind of a psychological, interpersonal family drama, the camera is such a great tool to get into that situation, probably even better than theater, with some notable exceptions. So the fact, to me, the strength of theater is that we're all going to be in the same place at the same time. So if I'm performing or if my actors are performing, they're going to talk to you as people who are there, because that is true and it is unique and it is something that cannot be replicated in any other or many other art forms. So it seems to me a great waste of the medium when we really have a formal fourth wall that exists throughout the entire performance.
So if you embrace the chaos, how do you direct a show that's designed to be different every single night? You can't exactly give notes on a performance that might never happen again. For Fell, it's about creating a playground, not a rigid path.
I'm very cautious to direct towards a goal or towards an outcome, because the nature of the show is such that it should and could and must be different all the time. So what I direct the actors toward, I think of the show as a skeleton. The bones of the show are all there, these kind of benchmarks that we have to hit. But like, this moment must always happen, this moment must always happen, this moment must always happen. But how you get there and how you feel about those moments and who occupies those moments even can and should and must not be dictated. So when I direct, I'll see a show, I'll watch one of the shows in the evening, and an actor may make a choice that for their character that night that didn't really work, right? Like for me, it's like, oh, you were playing it maybe a little too heavy-handed, and it would have been better to be more subtle. In a traditional theatrical setting, you would just give that note, like, hey, back off that and let's try a different thing. But for me, I find I don't really give many notes because it is improvised, and I don't want to I don't want to put people in their head when they probably already know that, or it's going to be totally different the next time they do it anyway, so there's no real point in saying that. So for me, it's the direction I give for the show is very big picture.
This constant push for freshness has led to the script itself evolving. To encourage more real gameplay, Fell has been stripping more and more text away, replacing pages of direction with a beautifully simple mandate.
In Act 2, there's one of three rooms that you can visit in Act 2. In Act 1, there's 3 entire wards that are like a hugely different thing that can happen. In Act 2, it's slightly less wide, the kind of like flow chart, but there's 3 big rooms. And in those rooms was a game that we played, and we had X encounter and Y thing happen. And now, after many rewrites, the script of the show in that moment just says do D&D, this scene must end with a check. And then the DC of that check is dependent on whether we're on the easy path, the medium path, or the hard path, which is determined by the outcome of the previous performance. But that's it. That's all it says in the script now. It went from this like many pages to just play D&D, make a check at the end of the scene. It can't be more than 5 minutes.
The engine that turns 500 individuals into one giant hivemind player is a software platform called Gamiotics. The audience uses their phones to vote on everything, but the real genius is in the timing.
The software is really brilliant because it's very quick. Like it was built by our executive producer David Carpenter. It's his software company, and the average length of an election, as it's called, so when we send something to your phone, you vote, it goes on screen, and we see the result, is like 9 seconds, because that's how long an average scene change takes in a Broadway musical. It's how long you can be disengaged from the action on stage and then return to it without losing interest or losing the thread.
This audience power can lead to some truly unforgettable moments of collective, unplanned comedy.
It just is a natural trajectory to these things that happen sometimes. Or one time, they named one of the NPCs Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, and so every time that name was said, the entire audience goes, na 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 na.
For all the tech and jokes, the show's greatest achievement might be the community it fosters. Fell is passionate about role-playing games as a tool for creating safe spaces where people can explore who they are.
Tabletop role-playing games are inherently pretty queer, in my opinion, because it's allowing you to test out other ways of being. And queerness is nothing if not an acknowledgement of the kind of structures of society and a dismissal of them, to say, maybe we don't need to do that. And inherently, role-playing allows you to dip your toe into another person's experience and see what it's like to live in someone else's shoes.
That welcoming spirit has attracted all kinds of players, including actual play royalty, who love to test the limits of the show, like the legendary Felicia Day.
Felicia Day would try to kill all of the major NPCs all the time. Like, Felicia, you can't kill, like, he is mission critical. And so some DMs would just say that, like, he has the critical tag, this NPC, you actually can't do that. Like, you shoot fireball at him and it just goes around him. Sorry.
Now the show is taking this unique experience on a national tour. I asked Fell what has surprised him most on this journey. His answer wasn't about the successes, but about what happens when things inevitably go wrong.
So in Edinburgh, I wasn't a part of this in Edinburgh, but I know of this story. The Wi-Fi went out in the building they were performing in, and obviously internet's very crucial to the audience engagement via their phones. And we run a lot of our tech through Wi-Fi. And I mean, to some degree, that happened even at off-Broadway, though not specifically Wi-Fi, but other technical snafus that kind of occur. And what happens to me, what I am amazed by is the level of buy-in we get from our audience. And also the rapport we build with them from the moment they walk into the theater. They're seeing actors as themselves, interacting with them to say, hey, welcome, this is your first time here, my name is Michael, what's your name, have you played D&D before? So that when something goes wrong, we're not hiding anything from anyone. We're just saying, Wi-Fi's out, so let's do this by a show of hands. Instead of this moment, let's have someone come up on stage and answer a riddle. Like, we're able to adapt, and which means anything can happen on stage.
That's the real magic right there. In a world of perfectly polished, pre-packaged entertainment, the 20-sided tavern dares to be messy, to be human. It puts its trust not in technology or scripts, but in the people in the room, both on stage and off. It proves that the most memorable stories aren't the ones that are told to us, but the ones we get to create together.
It is important to create a community and a space by leading with examples. So you'll see actors in our show who aren't remotely the thing they are portraying and able to do it with grace and ease because they are good performers, they are thoughtful role players, and we've been hoping, I've been facilitating a space that says, especially in rehearsal, like, let's do this. And if it feels uncomfortable or bad, then we can reassess, or maybe we can use that uncomfortability and use it as a tool to push through that and say, we're all human and we make mistakes, and we have to be able to make room for that and not just shut things down too quickly.
You know, seeing a show like this conquer the stage proves that the worlds we build in our imaginations have incredible power. It really gets you thinking about what the next frontier could be for this kind of immersive fantasy storytelling. I wonder, what would I do if I had that kind of ability? Well, I guess you'll have to just join me next time. And maybe I'll roll up a new kind of character for an ultimate take on a brand new adventure.